Parties in the Gauteng legislature are tired of political instability.
You have no idea. We are reclaiming what belongs to our people. We are re-energized to confront the racists head on. We are tired of racists. Their time is over. They will never take us from apartheid.
Lesotho believes the DA's motion of no confidence against him was an attempt to settle political scores. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has backed the decision to accept the 153 Palestinian travelers who landed at the OR Tambo International Airport. The group arrived yesterday but was not allowed to disembark for 13 hours because of questions over their documentation. Home Affairs says they were barred from entry as they didn't have the customary departure stamps in their passports, but they've since been granted temporary refugee status for 90 days. Ramaphosa says government has made an exception because of the dire circumstances.
Out of compassion, out of empathy, we must receive them and be able to deal with the situation that they are facing. And it does seem like they were being, flushed out. We will get the details later, but from a humanitarian point of view, we could not return them from whence they have come.
Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke has exercised some of her new powers for the first time by issuing the first certificate of debt, forcing a municipal manager to pay back a 4.6 million rand loss due to an inflated tender. Maluleke told the Standing Committee of the Auditor General in Parliament today that this certificate of debt against the Ngaka Modiri Molema District Municipal Manager is the first since the Public Audits Act's extended powers came into effect in April 2019. This new milestone, according to Maluleke, follows the material irregularity issued by the Auditor General on overpayment for water tank services rendered to the municipality by a service provider. Babalondenze reports.
The certificate of debt issued by the AG will hold municipal manager Ellen Losaba personally liable to pay back the money with interest applicable between 30 days after the certificate has been served and the date of full payment. The municipality appointed a service provider in June 2018 to provide water tanking services as part of drought relief and for water and sanitation services to be rendered to various communities as and when required. Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke.
The contract management processes were so weak that this led to a material financial loss of 4.6 million rand. The loss relates to daily tankering schedules that overstated the kilometers that the particular water tankering service provider had claimed.
Maluleke says on issuing the certificate, she also reminded the executive mayor of the municipality that in terms of Section 5B2 of the Public Audit Act, it's the mayor's responsibility as the executive authority to collect the amount specified from the accounting officer. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
And more than 24,000 law enforcement officers have been deployed across KwaZulu-Natal in the run-up to the festive season. This includes various police units, road traffic municipal officers, as well as private security. KZN Premier Thamsanqa Ntuli says the teams are tasked with keeping residents and holiday makers safe over the holiday season. Ntuli addressed the Council Against Crime in Mayville in Durban today.
These members are deployed at ports of entry, beaches, tourist routes, shopping centers, major events, or rather during the major events, and the residential areas to ensure a 24/7 visibility, faster response time, and a stronger prevention measures of crime.
And in your financials, gold is trading at $4,057.80 an ounce. The rand is 17.17 to the dollar, 22.61 to the pound, and 20 rand to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $63.01 a barrel.
In your world of sports, coach Shukri Conrad blasted the surface after the Proteas were bowled out for 159 in their first innings of day one with India, saying the wicket fails to inspire confidence amongst his players. Meanwhile, just 5 weeks until the African Cup of Nations this December, Hugo Brosh uses the friendly against Zambia tomorrow to explore his squad depth and finalize his plans. And Siya Kolisi, Bowen Venter, Kurtley Arendse and Damian Willemse keep their places as the Springboks gear up for Italy tomorrow, with coach Rassie Erasmus teasing the fact that he might fly 2 more players in on Monday.
A cloudy Saturday is in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 15, peaking at 24. Pretoria 16 and 26, Vereeniging 15 and 25 degrees. Cape Town can expect partly cloudy conditions with a fresh south-southeasterly breeze at a low of 16 and a high of 25. The top story in EWN this hour, Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesofi has expressed gratitude to all political parties that voted against the DA's motion of no confidence in him.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. EWN Traffic.
In Tembisa, we still have slow-moving traffic. This is on the R21 northbound between the R25 Paffontein off-ramp and Olifantsfontein Road due to an earlier accident. In Sunwood Park, Boksburg, heading towards Brakpan, roadwork still slowing down traffic. This is on the N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Carnival City. We also have slow-moving traffic. This is traveling through the Joburg CBD M1 southbound between Killarney Bains and the Crown Interchange. In Roodepoort, heading towards Leratong, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Randfontein Road between Corlett and Adcock. While in the mother city, there's a bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N2 outbound between Bunga Avenue and Airport Approach. Also, expect some delays. M3 southbound, this is heading towards Claremont. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, named Best Cash Management Services in Africa at the 2025 EMEA Finance Treasury Services Awards. Good evening. Welcome to the Friday edition of The Money Show, 8 minutes after 6. I'm Stephen Grootes. Strangely been quite a busy week, and I'm one of those people who's currently on the S&P Global website, hitting refresh pretty much as often as I can to see what's happening, in fact, to our ratings. For the moment, no news from them. And quite a lot of conversation, of course, about whether or not our rating by S&P Global will be upgraded or not. Reuters pointing out, and I'd sort of forgotten this, it would be our first ratings upgrade in nearly 20 years. And that's a long time ago, if you remember those sort of boom times. And I do, I'm to say slightly unfortunately, I do remember them very fondly going into sort of 2005, which is where we would have been 20 years ago. Everything seemed to be going well. Thabo Mbeki was sort of making economic noises that markets like Trevor Manuel was in charge. The economy was growing and things were going very nicely. Part of it, of course, was the commodities boom. And then the global financial crisis came, I suppose to an extent. Jacob Zuma came too, although I don't think it was just him. I don't think you could blame the former president for what happened afterwards. And it's been a very tough time. Of course, you can for certain things that happened. 10 years ago, in about 4 weeks' time, is the sacking of Nhlanhla Nene, and that was a night that really did change everything in my view. So, waiting to see what S&P Global is going to do. I would like to just point out two things. The one is, there's been a lot of good news this week. If you look at the medium-term budget policy statement, the lower inflation target, in terms of what S&P Global looks at, there's been a lot of good news. Certainly, the fiscal position is much better than it was nearly a year ago. And in fact, Duncan Peterson, the Director General, quoted this week as saying, a year ago, most people or many people would have said what we've done in the last year would not actually be possible, and yet it's been done. Don't forget, we're off the Financial Action Task Force grey list as well. So all of that's vitally important. So if not now, when? And then, to completely contradict myself, if not now, then probably early next year would be the when. So we're kind of in this position. I can't tell you when the announcement will actually come. You know how these things can be. I would imagine in a couple of hours we might hopefully hear from S&P Global. But it is one of those moments that I think is probably quite an important moment. And also, if we do get an upgrade, it would be a real vote of confidence in the national coalition. And that could be important for its own purposes. We'll talk about oranges, lemons, and I suppose grapefruit. I've never understood the point of a grapefruit, frankly. It's just a very heavy, small football. That's all it is. But not my thing. I know some people have it for breakfast. Yuck. I know what I can do with a lemon. Thank you. Tastes very nice in a particular drink. And oranges, quite fond of oranges. We'll talk to the CEO of the Citrus Growers Association in just a moment. One of the big stories of the week that we just didn't get a chance to really unpack is with the Competition Commission and their findings about the big tech companies and South African media. So Google, YouTube, Meta, TikTok, they made quite big findings. There'll be some contributions to South African media. There'll be other things as well. I think that's going to be quite important. And these are all sort of negotiated and accepted rather than enforced. I don't even need to tell you which of the big tech companies refused to just sort of comply with anything and who owns it. I'll give you a hint. He was born here and he went to school in Tshwane. Of course, X refusing to comply in that way. We'll get a bit more on that. We'll speak to the Competition Commission in a few moments. And then the enduring power of sneaker culture, but also the technology behind sneakers. I had to Google to make sure I'd understood this because we're speaking to Joe Farah, the founder and CEO of Sneaker Lab and Good Basics. And he talks about probiotic technology and sneakers. Now, probiotic is something you go into the pharmacy and you get whenever you actually need to take other medicine. It's the muti that sorts out your tummy. Otherwise, you're going to be going to the toilet a little bit. So my first question is probably going to be, you're going to have to link the two for me, probiotics and sneakers. Good to hear from you tonight, 011 883 0702 021 446 0567, and of course voice notes on 072 702 1702. Don't forget tonight, the Friday Biz Blitz.
702. Stephen is on the Money Show.
6 to 8 p.m.
Well, confirmation this week from the Citrus Growers Association. South Africa increased the volume of citrus products it exports in the last financial year by 22%. In other words, we exported more than, or nearly a quarter more this year than we did last year. It's an astonishing number. Dr. Boetsoko Ntebele is the CEO of the Citrus Growers Association. Boetsoko, good evening. I really do appreciate the time. Thank you. I know we produce some of the world's sweetest oranges and I suppose some of the world's most bitter lemons. What really drove this strong growth?
So thank you very much, Stephen, for having us. I know it's late on Friday, and I know you seem to have a challenge with grapefruit, but I think there's a discussion for another day.
Indeed.
Yes. So a couple of things came into play. One, we have improved production practices at farm level, which ultimately gave us good quality fruit for this year. We also had better coordination in terms of logistics ecosystem. Thanks to the guys at Transnet, the investment in new equipment and the staff incentives that they put in place have actually improved productivity so that the increased volume flowed a whole lot better in their ports. We also had the young trees and new orchards that came into production and an incredible demand for lemons and oranges that went into juicing in Europe. And lastly, the Northern Hemisphere's own season ended a little bit too early, and we went into our season started with open markets. So just a confluence of a couple of good things that lead to a fantastic season for us.
Some of those factors are once-off, so whatever happened to the weather in the Northern Hemisphere is probably a once-off. Tariffs changes the picture. Some of those are repeatable. I mean, as you say, the practices, the farming practices that we followed, the improvements at Transnet. Is it possible to make any kind of prediction of what will happen in the next year? I mean, to grow by nearly a quarter seems unlikely to do that twice.
I doubt if we'll be able to grow by a quarter, but I think we will still experience some growth, and I think this is ahead of our own model. Our own model is premised on what we call Vision 260, and in essence, what we are saying is that we want to be able to export 260 million cartons by 2032, and what this shows is that we were able to handle this increase and we can gradually grow in terms of the entire ecosystem towards our target to export 260 million cartons by 2032.
So the agricultural practices that changed, What changed? The Transnet story is sort of obvious, but we've been growing citrus products for a very long time, and yet the changes that we made from a point of farming practices must have been significant.
Yes. So one of the biggest factors that came in is, I'm not sure if you've ever visited some of the valleys where we grow citrus. You find that there's incredible growth in the amount of citrus orchards that are under nets, and with nets you have efficiencies in terms of protection of fruit against adverse weather. You also gain from pest control. You also gain from reduced transpiration. So altogether, you have better quality fruit coming out. So you end up with a lot of class 1 fruit that comes out, and that's typically the best quality fruit that we need to produce as the second biggest exporter of citrus in the world.
U.S. tariffs obviously an issue, Boitoko. I don't need to remind you of that. How worried are you that they are going to have an impact in the next year?
So look, we still have some time before the season starts. So we really crossing fingers that our government and the U.S. government, have some sort of do-nothing and are able to come closer to a deal before the 2026 season starts. We're very concerned that if that doesn't come into play, it definitely kicks us out of the U.S. market, in that a lot of our competitors are sitting at 10% tariffs, and we become uncompetitive in that market.
Your industry, as we can see, has been growing quite strongly. You've explained why. Do you have any idea? Obviously, you're quite ambitious. If the US does not take our product, are we then really going to depend on China, which I know is becoming a bigger market?
Not really. I think with the level of growth that we are showing, we almost need all the markets that we can. So this year, with the volume that we have, almost all markets took additional amount of fruit in proportion to previous years. So the US itself took in 4 or 5%, which is the usual contribution to the uptake from their side, and the EU still gave us about 36%. So we want to say that all markets are very important for us. You would realize that you don't necessarily realize the same value in terms of the return. So ultimately you have that as a basket, and ultimately you are able to balance the scales, so to speak, for the growers on the farm. And we think that we still need to push government very hard to be able to earn dollars for fruit that goes to the US. Similarly, euro for the guys that export to the EU.
Is there anything more government needs to be doing to help your industry? Obviously, fixing potholes on roads so your fruit doesn't get bruised, I imagine, is quite a big thing. Making sure that Transnet's systems are running more effectively. Anything else?
Look, I think we want to improve conditions in some of the markets. You mentioned China, for instance, where we have a little bit of a stricter cold treatment measure. We were able to negotiate an improved cold treatment conditions, and that has been 4 or 5 months now. If government can expeditiously assist in ensuring that protocol is signed on both sides, that improves the conditions under which we ship fruit to China. And China is almost like an anchor in that side of the world, and we run the risk of improving conditions for the neighboring countries as well.
Dr. Boitoko Nchebele, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. And of course, the CEO there of the Citrus Growers Association, 20 minutes after 6.
The Money Show on 702.
Monday to Friday, 6 to 8 p.m.
An announcement yesterday from the Competition Commission. Google, Microsoft, Meta, YouTube and TikTok have agreed to change their practices with regard to the way they use news in South Africa on their platforms, and also to provide support to the news media. The findings by the Commission is that these companies make money from organizations that produce news, and as you'll know, they don't pay for the production of that news. One of the inquiry's technical leads and senior analyst for the Competition Commission on this is Donovan Lindley. Donovan, good evening. You make the finding that media organizations do lose out because of the way these groups behave. They have to give some money back to media organizations. Are you expecting them to change the way they're actually behaving?
I think there's two dynamics that one has to consider when you're looking at these markets. I think there is a fundamental change in how users engage and engage in the news. A lot of it is, most of it these days is digital, or through digital means, through the platforms. And so these platforms play a very big part in referral traffic. So part of it is conduct, and what our mandate is to look at the competition dynamics and what conduct these firms undertake. And what we do find is, especially like, for example, Google, you find more consumption on the Google search of content, including news content, and what you call an increase in zero clicks. In other words, people not clicking through to websites where websites can monetize. So that aspect is the sort of conduct that these firms undertake. But one also has to understand that in the digital landscape, ad revenues are diverted a lot to also other forms of digital advertising, such as Instagram stories, YouTube videos, and influencers, for example. And influencers were never a thing before in the past. So you've got these two dynamics that are taking place already.
Do you believe that what you've recommended, and you can only go so far, you can only look, as you remind us, at one aspect of it, at the competition aspect. Do you think it's going to make a difference? I mean, from what you've learned during the inquiry, it can feel sometimes that media isn't going to survive.
Look, that is true, and the reason why we did an inquiry was that news media did approach us, and they are under distress. And if you look at the data, news media is under distress, and this has big, deep ramifications for democracy as well, because news media is important. For example, investigative journalism and learning about what's actually happening in society and being informed citizens. But I think this is something, we do have limitations in what we can and can't do, and we have to link our remedies to our findings, and it has to come from a competition perspective. So there's a degree of proportionality in our assessments. So what this means is that our recommendation certainly is gives some space to breathe for news media. It's a step in the right direction, but I don't think it is something that's going to solve all the problems that news media is facing.
No, sure. I don't think anyone could expect you to do that. What was it like dealing with the companies in this? The big tech companies have, I imagine, lots of organizations in different places around the world asking them for certain things. I'm going to talk about X in a moment, but the others, did they seem to you to understand where you were coming from? They have agreed to this. They didn't challenge your findings.
Yeah, this is a global issue, and I think there's been other studies also overseas. In Australia, they've done, also the competition agency has done a similar study, inquiry, and come to their own remedial actions. And I think in terms of value transfer, for example, it's also been done in Canada, in California, and the UK and France have also done similar work. So these companies are familiar with it. I think they're aware of the issues. In terms of our engagement with the global firms, I think it's been a mixed bag. In our experience, for example, Google has been very engaging and has worked with us quite well. And then, with the other platforms, there has eventually been some meeting of the minds, and we've come to some understanding on sort of remedial actions. I think one platform we haven't really got to agreement with is X.
Yeah, we all understand its owner's difficult history with the country that gave birth to him. Did they just refuse to talk to you?
No, they have been engaging us, but I think it's just both a disagreement on both the remedies and the findings. So but they have been engaging us.
Donovan Lindley, thanks very much indeed. One of the inquiry's technical leads and senior analyst, part of that Competition Commission inquiry into media and big tech companies. 26 minutes after 6.
The Money Show.
The markets.
Grant Nader is portfolio manager at Benguela Global Fund Managers. Grant, good evening. Look, a ratings upgrade. I'm going to hit refresh again to see if it'll actually happen or not, or if we'll even get a view tonight. But there's a bit of optimism in the market, I notice.
Yeah, good evening, Stephen. There certainly is some optimism. I think the base case is a pause and it'll happen next year, but it's not. It feels like it's 60-40 at the moment, so it would be nice to see. What I can say is that the market has already been pricing in that it will happen. If not now, then next year. And you've seen that in the bond yields. You've seen it in the way the banks have been behaving. Our 10-year funding rate is the lowest it's been in a number of years. And so, I think the optimism is there. And, it's positive. It really is a positive sign. It's another little incremental forward momentum moment in South Africa over the last couple of years.
The thing is that if this were to happen now or next year, it really does give an incentive for government to continue in the direction that it's going in. And that can be quite important. It allows the coalition government to say, look, this is the progress that we're making. Let's keep going. It does the same for the National Treasury. They can say, look, we're right to keep going in this direction. Let's keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. I think they need some vote of confidence. I mean, the government's been under a lot of pressure, as we know, internationally with some of the PR around the US and that. And this kind of vote of confidence, I think, is fantastic. It's going to improve our cost of funding. It's going to improve the ability of the government and our banks to raise capital at cheaper prices. Our debt servicing costs are coming down. It'll give them room to spend more on the right things, hopefully. So, it will be a vote of confidence. And exactly as you say, it'll be like, let's see some more of that. So very positive from that point of view.
A strong update today from Richmond. Investors like that. And jewelry in huge demand.
Richmond in the last few years has really proven itself it's moving up the value chain in terms of some of the highest quality luxury brands in the world. The Van Cleef & Arpels and Cartier brands are in high demand. They're now the vast majority of the business profits, and they're incredibly good businesses. And their sales were far more robust post-COVID. That drop-off after COVID highs that everyone had, a lot of luxury retailers saw a big drop. Richmond was much more robust. We're seeing now they're picking up again, even with gold prices where they are. They manage their margins well, cost discipline, sales growth looking good. I mean, this company for me is just moving from strength to strength. I really like what they're doing, and I think you can be comfortable with this in your portfolio for sure.
US stocks opening negative tonight. Now, one reason, of course, is whether or not there'll be an interest rate cut in the US, and it seems that those bets are going off and people are believing that won't happen. But the other big factor is still AI valuations. You look at the NASDAQ, for example, and it's really been consistently down this week. Clearly, there are still huge concerns about valuations.
There are, without doubt, a lot of concerns, and there's a lot of very smart people saying, opening their mouth and sharing their thoughts around these concerns. You've got Michael Burry, you've got any number of guys, and Howard Marks, and so people are almost waiting for this bubble to pop. And to be honest, there are signs of a bubble in some of this capital, this re-lending, circular lending that's going on, one lending to the other to buy from the original one. So there are reasons for concern in some companies, but the debt is starting to grow. But a lot of these guys are funding this out of cash flow. And to be honest, I also think the market is still reflexive around buying the dips. And we've even seen, we've had this little pullback, I think for now, unless there's a real rollover in debt, you'll see people buy the dips reflexively, whether it's right or wrong. So I think the common consensus of a bubble is why we probably won't sell off right now dramatically. But, I mean, we'll see. I could be wrong.
That's what everybody says at the moment. Grant Nader, thanks very much indeed. Portfolio Manager, Benguela Global Fund Managers. Don't forget, we'll talk sneakers, the Friday Biz Blitz in a few moments as well. Just gone 6:30. Time for the latest Eyewitness News in Gisa. Good evening. The Western Cape and gangs.
Well, Stephen, it seems the Western Cape Police Ombudsman says investigations are still underway to determine whether gangs infiltrated the province's top cops. Police Ombudsman Major General Oswald Reddy released a redacted report yesterday after the Western Cape government lodged a complaint related to alleged police infiltration by gangs in October 2022. The allegations stem from a ruling by Judge Daniel Tulare during a High Court trial which referenced possible infiltration of police management in the province by the 28th gang. Reddy says both the Independent Police Investigative Directorate and Parliament are still investigating the matter.
I am aware that they are currently conducting an investigation into the criminal aspects.
Western Cape Premier Alan Winde says he's been waiting for an update from IPID for more than a year.
It took a year before the IPID team even put their investigation plan together, and then they said we'll come back in another year, and that's already passed, but we have written to them to say give us the update on where you are with this investigation.
Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police Oversight is also busy with its own probe into the allegations. Meanwhile, police officers on crime prevention duties in Philippi East have arrested a suspect for the illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition found inside a SANDF jacket.
They spotted a suspicious-looking male who led them to his house in Punz Street, where they found a 9mm pistol inside a South African Army jacket and 47 rounds of ammunition.
Police spokesperson Dake Gwala also has details of an arrest in the Better Life informal settlement.
The search resulted in the discovery of a 9mm pistol and 31 rounds of ammunition. The male suspect was arrested for illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition. He will make his first court appearance in the Echelon Magistrates Court once charged.
Moving to Gauteng, major routes in Johannesburg are set to be closed to traffic in preparation for the G20 summit this weekend. The Road Traffic Management Corporation, together with provincial and Joburg's Metro law enforcement, will be overseeing the closure between 9 and 1 o'clock tomorrow. Motorists are urged to use alternative routes to avoid delays. JMPD spokesperson Glane Fihla says clear signage and real-time updates will be provided.
Law enforcement agencies within Gauteng, and this includes the Road Traffic Management Corporation, Gauteng Traffic Police, Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department and South African Police Services, wish to inform all motorists and residents in Gauteng that a coordinated joint operation will take place on the 15th of November 2025, resulting in temporary road closures.
And Russian officials say debris from a Ukrainian drone hit a nuclear plant, temporarily causing the station to reduce its output. They claim approximately 8 drones were directed at the plant yesterday, which was only fully reconnected today. Officials say all the drones were neutralized and shot down, but the debris fell and damaged the main switchgear on the plant. Ukraine has not responded to the allegations made by Russia. And in your weather, a cloudy Saturday is in store for Gauteng, with scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms expected. Temperatures at lows of between 15 and 16 and highs of between 24 and 26 degrees, while Cape Town can expect partly cloudy conditions at a low of 16 and a high of 25. The top story in EWN, the Western Cape Police Ombudsman says investigations are still underway to determine whether gangs infiltrated the province's top cops.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading into Soweto, there's slow-moving traffic. That's in the Deep Kloof area on Chris Hani Road. That's opposite Bara Hospital. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic heading into Leratong. That's in Rudeport on Randfontein Road between Adcock and Miles Stalker. We still have those roadworks in the Calvin Alex area slowing down traffic on the N3 southbound between the Bacloo Interchange and London Road, while in the Mother City, bumper-to-bumper traffic into outbound between Bunga Avenue and Airport Approach. Also, slow-moving traffic on the M3 southbound approaching Claremont. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Beyond every boardroom is a story waiting to be written. A story of a business and its potential, of a community that thrives, a hospital that serves, and energy that powers millions of dreams. It's a story that only gets better with a partner that has the expertise and solutions to make it a reality. At ABSA CIB, we are invested in your story, and we invite you to write it with us, because your story matters. ABSA, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
I'm Samela Kelboy, an actress and mom to 3 lovely kids. I worry about how sugar can make them sick. Drinking sugary drinks could lead to diabetes, heart disease, and obesity as they get older. Diabetes is one of the top causes of death in South Africa. I'm joining the fight to demand government puts our health ahead of greedy industry profits. Government must act now. Increase the health promotion levy on sugary drinks. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
Hey, sorry for the voice note, but listen, I was there. I saw the receipt. Like, literally. That thing was long. It was giving scroll vibes and everything. Chomi, with this new Discount Better Rewards card, you get 10% off instantly. But like instantly, on over 140 brands. So look, I don't want to be like dramatic or anything, but your Discount till slip never looked better. Okay, bye.
The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes.
23 minutes now to 7 the time. Don't forget the Friday Biz Blitz in a few moments. 011 883 0702 and 021 446 0567. I saw today the latest developments, and it's something that I try to follow where I can, in Parliament's investigation, the investigation by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, into the Road Accident Fund, because the money that seems to have, in some cases, disappeared, but the cases of bullying are just unbelievable. And I've told you before about a senior official who came to testify and just started crying as he remembered what had happened and how Collins Letswalo was sort of at the back of it. Well, from what I understand, Songezo Zibi, who's the chair of that committee, saying today that they had issued subpoenas to Collins Letswalo, he was the former CEO, to come and testify. And you will have noticed, and I certainly noticed, that there was a time when he would go and do interview after interview, wasn't scared of anything, it seemed, and would basically say he had done nothing wrong, the claims against him were all rubbish, etc., etc., etc. Well, now he seems to have gone to ground, and the official address where they sent the sheriff to apparently had mold. Hadn't been used for so long, was abandoned. They're trying to track him down through other means. He's not responding to calls, he's not responding to emails. And the one thing I've sort of learnt in life, if I can be so grand, is that when someone ducks and dives the sheriff, then you know that they have something to hide. Otherwise, Collins Letswalo, don't be a coward. All it is answering questions from MPs. Sir, I have never known you to be short on confidence in the past. I've never seen that. So go and answer the questions. They're not dragging you there with guns. It's just answering questions. Yes, it'll be live on TV. I mean, we'll all watch it later because we're watching the commissions. But go and testify, for goodness sake. Don't run away from the sheriff. You know that they're looking for you. And don't hide behind the legalities either. Don't say, oh, they came to the wrong address. You know they want you. I'm sure you have Songezo Zibi's number. Phone him and say, look, I'm ready to go. When's good for you? I can do Monday. You know, do it like that. But don't run away. Come on, surely. Your thoughts. 011 883 0702 021 446 0567.
EWN Sport.
Tato, good evening. The Springboks tomorrow. Italy. I mean, there was a time when Italy, you could take your foot off the gas a bit. Not anymore.
Not anymore, Stephen. Good evening. Look, it's an interesting one here. 11 changes for Coach Rassie Erasmus.
Pollard's starting.
Pollard is starting back again. People are excited about that, but also quite worried because we don't know whether Pollard has truly been in form in the past couple of months or not. However, we wait to see there. Siya Kolisi, the skipper, maintains his starting position. Bowen Venter, Kurtley Arendse, and Damian Willemse are the four players that will be in the Italy test that were also in the France test. Coach Rassie Erasmus drafting once again there Stephen Andre Pollard as well as Morne van der Berg. This as the halfback pairing. New centre combination here. Ethan Hooker and Kanan Moody could offer a glimpse of what the Springbok future looks like.
I know if you ask Ethan, what's your favourite position? He says 12. If you ask Kanan, what's your favourite position? Now Danny Gerber was maybe around 13. Kanan has done great things at 13 and we think he deserves a chance, also giving Chessie a bit of a rest there. And I think Kanan out of 20 matches, he's lost once in the Springbok jersey, but he's just as comfortable on the wing. And then Ethan, we played 13 and wing all the time, while his preferred position is 12.
Now, Stephen, you think the 11 changes are enough for Coach Rassie Erasmus? Not so, because 2 more players might be on a flight on Sunday.
Yes, we will probably on Sunday fly in another 2 players because we tend to have some prep work with us in the Irish week, hooker probably and a prop because some of the players won't be available. So, yes, we really want to see if Marco is a real hooker at this level. We've certainly we're building up with Andre as a hybrid playing flank and center.
It is quite interesting for me that 2 new players are coming. Look, but I think what we are getting a look at here is almost like revolution. Something new is coming. And what Rassie wants to prove is that, guys, we don't have to rely on the same bunch of players because we are a rugby nation after all.
And also, Rassie's planning. So, we just decided to fly 2 over. Oh, please. He's known this forever. At the start of the last World Cup, we knew Pollard was going to be in the final, and he was. And Pollard, by the way, I'm a big fan. He's never disappointed us. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, Rassie is up to something, as always.
That game kicks off just before 3 tomorrow. It's raining rugby this weekend, though. England up against the All Blacks, Wales meet Japan, Ireland with the Wallabies, and France up against Fiji. In cricket, Shukri Conrad has questioned the pitch conditions after South Africa's national cricket team were bowled out for 159 on day 1 of their first test against the Indian national team, saying the conditions did not inspire confidence ahead of day 2.
Secondly, my assessment of the surface, probably after 4 or 5 deliveries in the first over, I think the signs were there pretty early on that the bounce is not consistent. I don't particularly believe that any of the batters grew in confidence because of the inconsistency of the bounce.
Day 2 continues tomorrow with India trailing by 122 runs. Back home in the T20 Challenge, the Boerlands are in the game with the Dolphins. As things stands, the Dolphins lead 131 runs to win from 19 overs. Northwest Dragons also in action with the Momentum Titans. Titans are 76 for 2 after the Dragons won the toss and chose to bowl first. Meanwhile, in Gqeberha tomorrow, Bafana have a friendly against Zambia at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. An important clash for Coach Hugo Brosh because this will be the team that he will take to the African Cup of Nations in the next 5 weeks, and in less than 210 days, they are going to the World Cup. Finally, defending ATP champion Yannick Sinner remains unbeaten at the Bjorn Borg group after defending Ben Shelton 5-6-3, 7-3. Tato Moloto, Eyewitness News Sport.
Summer's almost here, and so is the magic of the Stodels pot promotion. For a limited time, enjoy up to 50% off pots of every size, shape and color. Big or small, indoor or outdoor, plastic or ceramic. There's something special about finding the perfect pot, the one that brings color, life and joy to your garden. Hurry, this once-a-year event ends 16 November. Visit your nearest Stodels Garden Centre today. Stodels, create happiness.
You want a new car, but prices keep climbing, the timing doesn't feel right, the deals are never good enough. Until now. The Motor Select Demo Deal Dash is back this Friday and Saturday only. Get up to 100,000 Rand trade-in assist on over 1,800 demo models across 26 leading brands. All backed by SA's largest and leading dealer network. It's just 2 days. Visit motorselect.co.za to shop our demo range now.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 46669.
The Money Show.
The Friday File.
The Friday File.
Just gone 7:15. Well, you'll know one of the big changes, one of the big shifts we've seen in the last 30 years in popular culture is the rise of sneakers. And along with that, along with the fashion of sneakers, the self-expression that comes through them, the culture that you include yourself in, depending on what you wear, the fact that some of them are extraordinarily valuable, comes the idea that you've got to look after them and someone has to design them. None of that is easy. Joe Farah is the founder and CEO of Sneaker Lab and Good Basics. Joe, good evening. So good to talk to you about this. Thank you.
Good evening, Stephen. Thanks for having me on the show.
It must have been an amazing thing to be a part of the evolution of sneaker culture over the years. It's become a sort of staple of popular culture, and it's really grown dramatically.
Well, it has grown dramatically. In fact, in the last couple of years, there's been quite a big shift towards more functional sneakers as opposed to the hype culture that was around when originally launching Sneaker Lab. So things have changed quite dramatically in that sneakers are now leaning towards more functional shoes as opposed to just fashion items, but still a fashion statement for most of us.
When you say functional, do you mean actually, doing walks in them, playing some sort of sport in them? Or is it more about just wearing them through the day in an office?
So I think in the past, when originally starting Sneaker Lab, there was a lot of hype culture and that there were a lot of regular drops that were coming out from the big brands such as Nike, Adidas, etc. And over the last couple of years, there's been a move towards a more functional style shoe. The space is kind of called normcore, where you're starting to see the likes of sneakers that incorporate a running or a training element, even though they're lifestyle. Normcore is a term that's kind of born out of the era of Seinfeld, where things are a little bit more sort of dad looking, for lack of better words. So there's been a move to that space. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I was doing some background research on you, and I kept coming across this phrase, probiotic technology. Now, Joe, when I go into a pharmacist and I see the word probiotic, it's usually in something you take when you take antibiotics. It's often something, to keep your sort of tummy working properly. How are you using probiotic technology with sneakers?
So originally, when founding the business, one of the big things for me was that it has to be the cleaning element of it had to be sustainable and had to have very high efficacy. And at the time, I did a lot of research into the green cleaners at the day that were available at the time. And a lot of them had very low efficacy. And so through a lot of research, I stumbled across probiotic cleaning. Now, at the time, which was 13 years ago, we couldn't really talk about the idea that using bacteria to clean was actually something that we could present to the consumer. But things have evolved over time. And as people have become more aware of their gut microbiome and how important bacteria is in your life, and that the idea of taking antibiotics and wiping out all bacteria is not necessarily the best approach, we've arrived at a place now in time where I think that people are ready to hear about probiotics. I mean, if you look even a few years back, the idea of drinking kombucha and taking functional mushrooms and CBD was really not something that was on the radar, whereas now it's pretty mainstream and rather accepted. So this whole idea around the biotech and probiotic cleaning is quite new and revolutionary. And I believe is the future of how we're going to be cleaning not only our sneakers, our clothes, but also our homes, which is where Good Basics ties into the equation.
How does it actually work? Are we looking at bacteria that eat the dirt?
So fully bacteria, and what I find fascinating about it is that it's an intelligent way of cleaning, and that the bacteria really looks for a food source to digest, and it then it creates enzymes to actually digest the food source. So what you end up happening is you've got this dormant bacteria sitting in a liquid, and when exposed to air or food source, the bacteria comes to life. It essentially looks for the food source, starts to create enzymes to digest that food source. And the major benefit of this is that you get prolonged cleaning. You can actually get prolonged cleaning over a period of up to 10 days, although our claims on our packaging is that we clean for up to 72 hours. So with traditional chemical cleaners and normal green cleaners, you get chemical cleaners obviously being very harsh and taking the wipe out everything approach, whereas green cleaners just sort of work for the moment. And I think there's a little bit of a hangover around green cleaning, and that you tend to move back to your chemical cleaners if you don't get the efficacy that you were expecting out of it. Whereas probiotic cleaning has both, and the benefit of high efficacy and prolonged cleaning, which neither of the other two offer. So I really think that's the big benefit. And it really, another major benefit is that it really deals with things like odor at the source, which is a very unique advantage of probiotic cleaning.
So I was going to ask about the time and specifics, because I mean, whenever I take sneakers to be cleaned, it's always a day or two. I'm afraid to confess I haven't actually spent much time thinking about what they're using to clean it. So the time,
yes.
I mean, for customers, time probably does matter. I mean, we all like to think, well, we're going to wear them on Friday, so we take them in on Monday, but that's not really
Yes.
how things work.
No, so from a time perspective, there are a lot of other cleaning agents in the product that we ensure are environmentally friendly. You get very high efficacy instantly, but what you do get on top of that is the prolonged cleaning effect. So probably one of the easiest ways to describe it to you is that if you, for example, had a wine stain on your sneakers or your clothes or even your upholstery for that matter, and you use the probiotic cleaner, even if it was an old wine stain, you would clean it as best as you could, and you would see a noticeable difference immediately. But if you had to watch that stain over a number of days, it would completely disappear, because the bacteria will then start to produce enzymes that would then biodegrade the food source till it's completely gone. And the bacteria remains in action until effectively there is no food source left. And one of the new spaces that's quite revolutionary that is only being explored now that we're looking into, etc., is hospitals, because it's the last place you would ever think to use bacteria to clean. And the results so far have been absolutely phenomenal, because they prevent the growth of superbugs. But I think that's going to be a long road.
No, sure. And I hate to ask bluntly, business. Do you find that people
No, go ahead.
people have their sneakers cleaned more often during boom times, or is it fairly consistent? I mean, I would imagine that people with big collections, or even people who have just one or two pairs, want to use them often. They want them to look new all the time. So there might be quite a consistency to your business.
So I must confess that we've actually recently gone through a brand evolution where we are no longer just sneaker focused. We've actually become the lab, and this was a gradual progression where we are actually taking care of everything from head to toe. So we're very fashion focused. So that's our key focus is fashion care. And to answer your question, I think that with regards to cleaning your sneakers and the collections that people have, I mean, I think that some people have one or two pairs where others have huge collections. Myself, I've tried to cut down. I'm not sure. Did I answer that correctly, or did I waffle on there?
No. I got what I was looking for. I mean, I think I do understand it. Joe, it's been amazing to talk to you. Thank you so much. It's really interesting business, and I had no idea about the probiotic side of it. Joe Farr is the founder and CEO of Sneaker Lab and Good Basics, and now you know probiotics helping to keep sneakers clean and odor free.
The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
Time for the Friday Biz Blitz on The Money Show. You know how it works. You call us on 011 883 0702 021 446 0567. We put out a question. If you get it right, we move on to the next question. If you get it wrong, we move on to the next caller. Okay, first question on the Friday Biz Blitz tonight. The Springboks are playing tomorrow. Which former Springbok rugby player and now CEO of the country's largest private security company is planning to list the firm on the JSE? Which former Springbok rugby player now CEO of South Africa's largest private security company, is going to list the firm on the JSE. 011 883 0702 021 446 0567.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Take the ultimate spin with 10Bet and me, Andy Lengube, to win a luxury BMW X3. Join 10bet.co.za. Play selected games. Every 10 rands you play earns you points. Hit the top of the leaderboard and the prize could be yours. T's and C's apply. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. License number 921096661.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, named Best Cash Management Services in Africa at the 2025 EMEA Finance Treasury Services Awards.
The Money Show, Friday Biz Blitz.
Okay, first question for you on the Friday Biz Blitz tonight. 011 883 0702 021 446 0567. Which former Springbok rugby player is now CEO of South Africa's largest private security company and is planning to list the firm on the JSE? Who is the person who's both played rugby for the country and is the CEO of a private security company? It's a name, if you've got a long memory, you will remember and perhaps kick yourself a little bit once the name actually comes through. That's the first question. Our second question is around the inflation target. We will also have a question for you around the Competition Commission and the currency as well. And of course, we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with that ratings decision by S&P Global. But our first question, of course, is which former Springbok rugby player is now the CEO of South Africa's largest private security company and wants to list the firm on the JSE? That's the first question tonight on the Friday Biz Blitz. Let's go to Spamandla on the line from Northgate. Spamandla, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Go for it.
Is it not Brian Habani?
Brian Habana. No, Spamandla, it's not. Do you want another guess?
Faf de Klerk?
I'm sorry, Spamandla, they're still playing. So, well, they're a bit, I mean, Brian Habana's obviously not playing, but Faf de Klerk is. So they're a little young to now be CEO of the largest security company in the country. Spamandla, thank you. Mandla in Rosebank. I should have known we would talk this week, Mandla. What's the answer?
Is it Bartman?
It is Bartman, Val Bartman. Did you have to look it up?
No, no, I heard it on the radio.
Well, of course you heard it on the radio, Mandla. Okay. South Africa's changed its inflation target for the first time since the year 2000. What is the new target?
3%.
It is 3%. Of course it's 3%. Okay. Following a landmark inquiry by the Competition Commission into unfair value sharing between global tech platforms and local publishers, which company, along with YouTube, agreed to pay 688 million rand to support South African media through content licensing, innovation grants, and capacity building initiatives? And Mandla, it's a very big company.
Yeah. I wonder, is that...
I don't know if Mandla's ever thought this long.
Yeah. Google?
Of course it's Google, Mandla.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, yes. And the rand hit its strongest level in almost 3 years after the medium-term budget policy statement. What key milestone did it achieve against the US dollar? What did it get to for the first time in quite a while?
We're under 17 rand.
Mandla, congratulations, you're a winner. Yes, indeed. It was 17 rand to the dollar. That's where we leave the Friday Biz Blitz tonight. Mandla, congratulations. Again, it's 7 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good evening, I'm Zingisa Chirwa. President Cyril Ramaphosa says leaders who have withdrawn from attending the upcoming G20 summit will miss out on critical work set to take place. Speaking during the CEO City Cleanup at Walter Sisulu Square in Kliptown, Soweto, Ramaphosa said boycott politics never work, adding that the summit's agenda will continue regardless of who is absent. With just a week to go before the G20, the president says he is encouraged by the progress of the city's revitalization efforts ahead of the event. Chabli Mbata reports.
US President Donald Trump was among the first to announce that he will not attend the G20 summit, adding that no other US government officials will be present. Since then, the presidents of China, Argentina, Mexico and Russia have also withdrawn from attending and opted to send representatives instead. Commenting on the impact of absent leaders on the summit, Ramaphosa says it is those who choose not to attend who will be most affected.
But we have said that boycott politics never work. If you boycott an event or a process, you are the greatest loser because the show will go on. The summit will go on. We're not going to stop because they are not here. And we will continue and we will take fundamental decisions on matters that affect the people of the world.
He adds that the G20 represents up to 80% of the global economy. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Kliptown.
With wage negotiations now settled, FlySafair says it's looking forward to continued growth and improved operational reliability as it ramps up capacity ahead of the G20's Leaders Summit. The airline has reached a long-awaited agreement with the South African Cabin Crew Association, bringing an end to a labour dispute that stretched over several weeks. FlySafair spokesperson